Let's take a closer look at each, and I'll show you why they are my favorite live sound mixers for most any occasion. It's hard. Alright, here's some gear talk for you. These are my Yamaha MG series mixers. Let's take a closer look at each, and I'll show you why they are my favorite live sound mixers for most any occasion. Let's get into it. Alright, we're going to start with the smallest mixer, which is the MG06. And this is their smallest footprint mixer, but it's still packed with a lot of features. You can see there the power supply that comes with it is a simple 12 volt. They call this a 6-channel mixer, but essentially there's really only 2 channels that are viable for the work that I use it for. Channels 1 and 2. They both have a very handy high-pass filter at 80 Hertz, which is nice to take out that rumble on vocals and guitar, especially where we don't need those low frequencies. Each of these channels also comes with a pad. I haven't had the need to use those on this board, but I'll show you how I use that on the other board. Again, I'm mainly using this for solo gigs where I'm just running vocals and guitar. Lines 3 and 4, 5 and 6 each have a designated volume, but those 2 lines do not have EQ or the ability to use a reverb. The reverb could be set on channel 1 and channel 2 by simply pushing in these buttons to engage the reverb. The amount of reverb is set here, and the selection of reverb is done here by switching this fader. There are 2 XLR outs for the mains. There are also 2 1/4-inch outs for the mains. What's unique about this small mixer is the ability to take these 2 channels and make them stereo or mono by this button. Where this comes in handy for me is occasionally I'm on a stage where I want to run my own speaker and have control of my own monitoring, so I can adjust my vocals or my guitar according to how the room changes throughout the night or whatnot, but I don't necessarily want to affect what they're doing in the front of the house. So let's take a look at the mixer and I'll show you how I use this to do that setup. By engaging this button, that makes these 2 tracks stereo. So for instance, if I plug my vocals into channel 1, the left, and I send an XLR out of the left here to the front of house, now they have my vocals on one channel. Then I plug my guitar in the channel 2, which is now the right, and I send them an XLR out here, then they get my vocals on the left, the guitar on the right, and they can mix in the front of house as much as they wish. And then I would use my 1/4-inch out left, 1/4-inch out right into a speaker near me that had volume on each side. Like a QSC has 2 inputs. So I would put the vocals on the left side and the guitar on the right, then I could adjust the volume accordingly and be able to hear myself very well if I'm in a location that I don't really have great house monitors. Now the only downside to doing that with this board is my main volume out will be the main volume that goes to the front of house and also to my speaker on stage. So that's why the speaker on stage needs to have its own volume controls. But generally, I use this in mono so that whatever I plug into any channel comes out of left to right balanced. So that's the small setup for most gigs anymore where it's just myself and a guitar. Now let's take a look at the larger board and see what other features come with that. Very similar to the small board, except we have a few more features here that make shaping the sounds on stage just a little easier and a little more dialed in. The power supply that comes with the unit is not my favorite. It's really kind of cumbersome, but it at least does have the locking mechanism. So once it's plugged in, you can lock this down and it's not going to fall out. But I wish it was just a standard AC, but yeah, here we are. There's not much to do on the back end. It does have a USB if you want to use this as an interface. But my main purpose with this is to run sound when I do a duo, sometimes a trio situation. We have plenty of controls for all of that. So obviously we have 4/4 inch / XLR at the top. We also have 3 more channels that have some level of EQ and some reverb options, and we'll get into the other details that each channel has. I do really enjoy the preamps on these Yamaha mixers. They seem to be very clean and crisp and pretty powerful. These first 2 channels have even a little compression, so typically running vocals through channels 1 and 2. Like the other mixer, these also have a high pass filter at 80 Hertz, each of these. And again, a pad in each of these. You can see this pad was down. So I used that the other day when I was working with another musician who was sending me a pretty hot signal because he was using a modeling amp. So I was able to put the pad down and not overload this board. A few things I like on each channel is the ability to adjust the amount of effects. So you can see this white row is the effects per channel, and you have a main effects master down here. We have more variety to pick from in this one as well through a digital sweep. We have the ability to pan each channel, far left, far right, accordingly. As I described on the small mixer, if I want to use this to do 2 different mixes, one for myself on stage and one for the front of house, this mixer is a little more friendly for that, for this reason. So I can pan my vocals all the way left, I can pan my guitar all the way right, and do the same thing like I did in the other mixer. I send the front of house, left main, right main, vocals, guitar. But on this mixer, the option I have for running my own monitor is an actual monitor send. It has a left and right monitor send, and I have a master volume for that monitor. So now I can send the front of house 2 channels with their level set, and now I can send myself 2 channels to my monitor and adjust my own volume that way. So just a little trick to do with this mixer. But typically everything's going to be balanced. I only do that little trick every so often when I need to run my own monitor mix. If I could add 2 things to this board that would make it like perfect for me, it would be a mute button, although there's not a lot of room left, a mute button per channel, and the other thing would be a monitor send select on each channel. So when I'm running this in a traditional sense, and I have a speaker on the left, speaker on the right, and I want to run my own monitor as well, currently the way this works is the monitor is the same mix as the main. So it would be nice to be able to dial in each channel according to what you want to hear in the monitor. Because sometimes you don't need as much as one thing as you do another. But that's being picky, and it's a small board, so I know you can't put everything in one. This one also has a phantom power, if need be. Like I said, these 1/4 inch channels are nice because they at least have a high and a low EQ, some effects as well. This one has the option for tape in as well with the RCAs. And that does it for the larger mixer. Well, there you have it, my little breakdown of my 2 favorite mixers. I wish I was sponsored by Yamaha, but I'm not. I just have gone through so many different boards for different reasons, and maybe I'll pop them up here, right about here. All the different mixing boards I've used over the years, but I always come back to the Yamaha on one way or the other. So now I just keep these two in my bag so I'm set wherever I am. They work great for most occasions. Let me know in the comments below what you like to use and why. So is there something I'm missing? Is there something on these boards that you know what to do with that I didn't go over? Can you teach me a trick about something I'm already using? That would be cool too. All right, thanks for checking this out. See you next time.